Hey everyone, Peter K here, aka Trendcrusher, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Yeah, I'm trying out YouTube, and I thought, hey, you know what? Since I'm speaking to the bands on video, why not upload it on video too? So, my first guest is Rohan Stevenson, aka I Built the Sky. He recently released an acoustic album called The Quiet Place Away, so I had to chat with him about it and also find out more about the recording, how it came about, and much more. So, before we get into the chat, why don't you hit subscribe on the button below this and stay tuned for more videos like this. I'm going to try putting it out weekly or so it's going to be interesting. So, join me for the journey. But here's my chat with Rohan Stevenson, aka I Built the Sky. Right, and I'm here with Ron. How's it going, Ron? It's been a while, huh?
Doing great. Doing really good. Yeah, very busy, but happy and healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I was just listening to our recording that we did from a year ago, and slightly less than a year ago, and just so much has happened with you personally since there, right? You've been doing so much stuff. So, does it really feel like
Yeah.
it's been a year since we spoke?
Hmm. I mean, my perception of time is a bit funny because it's only on reflection that I really even think about it. Very much in the moment kind of person, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it feels like somewhere like that. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I have to be honest, it felt like 2 years, man, because there's just like
Oh yeah,
so much that's been happening with all of us. I mean, at least here
yeah,
in India, things have opened up again. So you're going out and all of that. And
yeah,
like, it's such a long time ago, it feels that we were just sitting at home doing Zoom calls. But
totally.
yeah, that now it's there. The reason why we're actually having this conversation is because you just released your acoustic album, The Quiet Place Away. How does that feel now that the album's finally out?
Yeah, it's a bit surreal. Like it's been such a massive process, and the whole creation and release process, seems to feel like a long time. So for it to be finally out is a really good feeling. Super surreal, but very stoked.
Yeah, and it's cool that like one thing I want to definitely touch upon a bit is social media, right? Because you did a bit of BTS with the recording, so you kind of gave people an insight into what's happening. So no one is really surprised there was an acoustic album. I mean, again, for someone who's not been following you, they'd be like, "Why is Ron doing an acoustic album?" So let's get the elephant out of the room right away. Why choose to go acoustic, man?
I mean, it was a bit of a passion project for me. Like I've released acoustic songs on my albums as I've gone along, all the way back to the first album I released in 2012. So I've definitely released acoustic music, and I've had a love of acoustic music. And so, yeah, at some point along the way, I thought I want to commit to doing at least an EP, maybe more, depending on how much material I could get. And I just went with it, followed my passion for the sound of acoustic, and I'm really stoked.
Yeah, and I have to ask, has that paid off? I mean, I know it's still early, right? It's only been like a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I feel
But
like it's early days. I think I'll know. I think you need to give it like 6 months or something, to really feel the full gravity of that. But at the moment, the feedback I've been getting is overwhelming. So I have a feeling that this is definitely a good move. I think there's a lot of people out there that really enjoy the acoustic music I've released in the past and are really enjoying this complete album. So yeah, I think it's gonna be good. Yeah.
yeah, and I know I've shared this with you via email, but I'm gonna say this in public now. Is that honestly, I've been using this music just as like a wind down, something I listen to before I sleep. I find it really calming and really nice. Was that something that played at the back of your head when you were kind of putting together the whole package? That how finally someone would end up listening to it, or you didn't care about that at all?
I mean, more so on reflection, that I think about that stuff. But I think you're right. I think it's a good sound for just chilling out. And I love that
Yeah.
too. I love listening to artists that just give me that relaxed vibe. And like, you know, maybe you're just winding down or you're traveling and you just want some relaxing music or, you know, at least, you know, not heavy sort of stuff. You know, there's a time and place for both, you know? So, yeah, but I'm not like going in trying to write the calmest music for someone to sleep to necessarily, but you know, it's cool to know that people can use it for different things like studying and stuff, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
reading maybe, you know, things like that, where it's like the music's not just dying for your attention like the metal riffage and stuff that, you know, I love to do as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, there's the running joke I have with some of my friends who listen to metal while working, right? It's like you're resisting starting a chair mosh in the workplace kind of thing. And then this is the total opposite because for the last few years, at least working out of home, and I love listening to music, I'd be listening to a lot of like instrumental music
Yeah.
because for some reason, like the lyrics just kind of like mess with me slightly. So that's why I kind of do. And then this is a completely different level. Really enjoyed like the instrumental versions that you did of songs, right? Because it's nice to kind of see both versions of it. I know bands like, I think Monuments has done it. I know Tesseract for sure has done it, where they just did like the entire thing instrumental in there. So it's fun just to see how important the vocals are as a part of the music. But yeah, tell me about the whole process because I'm very curious. Because I mean, I'm glad you kind of documented it, and there's even a documentary out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like as if releasing an album was not tough enough, you decided to like release a documentary. Was that something that was planned again to like document the entire recording
Yeah.
process and all of
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to because I knew that I was going to be, you know, doing it in unusual circumstances, like when I rented out an Airbnb house, and that was like a really beautiful place, and I wanted to capture that process and make something out of it, you know. So yeah, I did want to make a documentary early on, and then the actual way it unfolded made the documentary even more interesting because we ended up doing it in sort of two main parts where I recorded with Forrester at the Gold Coast, which is in a different state to where I live. So and you know, having strings recording and piano and keyboard and synth and different instruments, mandolin, banjos, and all that crazy stuff. So yeah, there was a lot in the documentary. It's like an hour and a half long. So yeah, it's definitely a lot in there. And you know, I sort of talk about the whole experience and a bit of backstory about my situation and stuff like that, and you know, music as a part of my life growing up and all that. So yeah, I think the documentary turned out really, really good. So I'm very happy with that. But yeah,
Yeah. No, I'm definitely going to leave a link to the documentary because I think like one thing I've really enjoyed, say in the last 10, 15 years, right, about the music is especially for the music nerds who want to not only just get and listen to the music, you want to go beyond the music, right? I mean, that's what was cool about all those DVDs, right? Like you actually get an insight into the musician's life. And I think a documentary is just a great way to kind of, you know, go beyond just the tracks that are on the album, kind of get into the whole process.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
one thing I want to get into is that I know you've been doing you were actually teaching music, and before you actually went into music full time. So, was that something that you wanted to like again challenge yourself by adding the strings and all of that? Because I feel that was like, how do I say? In a way, it's like how they describe mastering, right? It's that last sheen which kind of just elevates the music. That's how I felt with the strings in there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, initially I wasn't going to do that. Like I was going to like this whole album from the initial idea has completely gone the opposite direction. Um,
Whoa.
so basically, when I started it, I wanted it to be like more of a low key kind of thing where it wouldn't I was going to work on it myself for the most part and more of a low key situation, but it completely went the opposite. It's definitely been the most involved album I've ever done, and there's just a lot in there. The strings and stuff was another addition that we decided to go into that world. You know, reflecting back on the results that I was getting at home, and with programming strings and stuff like that was sounding really nice, but I could tell that it wasn't doing the songs justice by doing that. And although it's convenient and easy and fun, I thought maybe getting an arranger in to really flesh out the string parts and make them a real feature of the songs was definitely the way to go. So yeah, at a certain point, I decided that's what I want to do instead of just keeping it in house. Let's see how far we can go with the music and really make something special with the arrangements and all this sort of extra stuff, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, right? I mean, like, that's why I got to give props to you, right? Because at a time where everyone thinks that you can like arrange strings or you can get like virtual instruments and stuff like that, like you went that extra part. And I think when you look back probably like 5 years from now, you'll be like, yeah, see that I made that right decision, because you can actually tell. And I think that's one of the things I've noticed about people who are really into the music, right? That's that little 1% or 2% that makes all the difference, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely 100% agree. Those moments really, they feel like small things, but they're actually big things in the end. So there was no shortcuts were taken. You know what I mean? Like, this was fully fleshed out to the absolute, like, every bit of me. So yeah, I'm stoked with the results, and I'm stoked I went that extra mile. Yeah.
Yeah. So a quick thing I want to definitely touch upon also is just the production, right? Because you worked with Forrester. Forrester also mixed and mastered the thing. And from my limited exposure to him is, I mean, of course, everyone in India kind of knows he's worked with Carnival, and he even actually worked with Sky Harbor. So they actually flew down to the Gold Coast to record an album with him. I think he's worked with a few other Indian artists whose names are escaping me now.
Yeah.
So for me, it was kind of surprising to know that Forrester's kind of mixed an acoustic album. And was he on the top of your list? How did you kind of go about kind of working with him on that? Like, did you end up sending him some initial tracks that you did in? Tell me about that. I'm very curious.
Yeah, I mean, I love what Forrester does. I think he's always at the top of my list, so he's my go-to guy. If I can get him, then I know it's gonna be a good end result, But yeah, the thing is, like, because he's done those Carnival albums and a lot of Aussie bands like Dead Letter Circus and heaps of really cool like metal progressive sort of stuff. I kind of wanted to bring some of that brain power into this acoustic setting as well, because I wanted it to be an acoustic album, but I wanted to sort of be, my take on an acoustic album. And I've got the progressive mindset, I suppose, and I know he does too. So I knew that it would be an interesting way to approach an acoustic album, where we can really flesh out the sonics of it and stuff. You know what I mean? It's not a it's not a stripped back album. It's got a lot going on, and there's lots of dynamics and instrumentation and lots of pushing and pulling and all that going on. So I knew that Forrest would be perfect to help create that and just get the most out of the songs.
Yeah, and I mean, for those who are listening to this and haven't heard The Quiet Place yet, the things you'll definitely notice on your first listen, this is not your typical acoustic album, right? It's not something that is stripped down, because I think that's one of the things you normally associate with acoustic albums, right? Is that bands taking this stuff. I mean, it probably also has to do with something like MTV Unplugged. I mean, that's like the most mainstream example I can think of, right? Like the whole thing was bands taking their music and stripping it down, but this is completely different. This is not unplugged. I have to say.
Yeah. I think stripping down is the wrong word for this, for sure. So
yeah. This is its own kind of thing. And I'm now that you're saying this and that Forrester's on top of your list, I'm very, very curious to know the next time you work on him with something more, progressive, more like what I Built the Sky is kind of known for, because that will be something really, really to look forward to, honestly.
For sure. Well, I'll definitely see. I'll reach out and see if I can get him on the next thing for sure. But yeah, early days. But yeah.
And So, while we talked about the music, right? One of the things I definitely want to talk to you about is just the fact about you doing music full time. And before we recorded, I was kind of chatting with you about this. Is that today, if you think about it, and there's a lot of like your mainstream pop artists also kind of talking about it, is a musician's role is no longer just to play the music, right? I mean, you're doing social media, you're doing YouTube, you're doing TikTok. You've literally kind of what now is the term going as a content creator. Is that something that you see you kind of moving towards since you've done music in full time in the last few years?
Not at this stage. I still see myself as a songwriter and an artist first and foremost, and I use these platforms to share what I'm working on and what I'm doing. But I'm not like a YouTuber or a content creator necessarily, or I don't see myself as that. I mean, it's up to whoever's consuming what I put out, I guess. But I do what I do, and then I present it. I don't not chasing, certain trends and things like that. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's not my thing. But I mean, lots of people have great success with that, and all the power to them. I would definitely recommend if you're starting fresh now that you'd be crazy not to like at least experiment with these different platforms and see where you fit in.
Yeah, I mean, like the way I look at it, right? And we've had this chat last time also in terms of like one thing I really enjoy is not just like listening to the music, but like diving behind the scenes and all of that. And I'm not sure if you've read the story, but one of the bands that was the gateway bands into metal for me, which was Linkin Park. They actually, when I've read the story, used to actually go on message boards and spam the hell out of people saying that check out our music, and all of that. And that's the today's equivalent of, I guess, making a TikTok or a reel or something like that, right? You need to kind of do that to get your face in front of people. And I have to say, I mean, like, especially with this album, I noticed, but even prior to that, is you've kind of cracked the YouTube algorithm or the game, if I may say, right? Because I mentioned this to you is that when I think it is in the ether has crossed like a million. Yeah, has crossed over 1 million views.
Yeah.
Was that like something at the back of your mind, or that's a conscious thing that you did, or how did you go about that?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Like, I don't think I've always like every time I release a video, I always like
Hmm.
hope it does well. But what can you do? Like, I'm in the business of realizing my creative vision and then pushing it out. Okay, and whatever it does, it does. That's why I'm essentially a hobbyist, but I'm a hobbyist that is somehow full time because I get enough support to allow that. You know what I mean? So I'm never like finessing the algorithms per se. You know what I mean? Like, or like making a video on current trends and topics and stuff like that. You'll never see me doing that because it just doesn't interest me. So the fact that video did so well, it's just one of those fluky things. I mean, I've released a lot of videos at this point in time, and that's definitely a big outlier in my catalog. So yeah, I don't know. I can't
I mean,
explain it. It just somehow, just somehow hit.
yeah, no, and it's cool also just to like, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm pretty sure, at least if you've been active on YouTube, you notice the comment section, right? Because I think there are people who discover like this music like 5-7 years later and will like comment saying, I'm in 2022 and I still am digging this track and all. And I think that is really cool, just the whole community aspect of it, right? I mean, that's what I
Yeah.
loved about SoundCloud to begin with, is that you could at a particular timestamp leave a comment, and when you're listening to the song you'd also see like everyone else's comments,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
that was really cool. But just to stick with YouTube for a second, because I noticed, and actually, while were having this conversation, I realized. Oh, sorry. Before we had this conversation, I realized you just dropped a new video. So at this point, you've got like 3 video singles out for the album. You've got "Let Yourself Dream," which, by the way, is a personal favorite of mine. "The Quiet Place Away," and "Where Sea Meets the Sky." And I must commend you. This is like, it's not just a video, right? You've like kind of gone all out. It's just the way you approach the music. Tell me about that approach towards the videos.
Yeah, I just I think it's definitely worthwhile that you present your music in a as high a standard as you can. So every time I'm doing a music video, I'm trying to get the best results, trying to figure out what I can do that's going to be a good accompaniment to the music, and just a good experience. I think it helps. I think it helps the music to translate as well when you've got really nice visuals and things like that, and it gives me a chance to like go somewhere interesting.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's one of the things I'm really jealous about you guys in Australia, because you'll actually have such beautiful scenery, beautiful places that you can kind of record and just like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, we
I
got
think like especially for the latest single, right? Where Sea Meets the Sky, it's just so stunning. Like you get lost in just the video itself, and
yeah.
yeah, and then you have the music to it, so it's just like a perfect marriage of sorts.
That's great, man. That's epic. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it came out quite well. I'm very happy.
yeah. But tell me about the artwork, and I think this is something. I think you did a bit of BTS about how actually the artwork was done, because you did a single. I remember an artwork for the single, and then you did the album
Yeah.
artwork itself. Tell me about that. Like, what was that concept that you had in mind? And because the way it came about is, I think I really wanted to hear about that creation process
No
also.
worries.
Honestly,
Yeah, so basically, I've got a friend of mine who's a really awesome artist, and I wanted to get him involved with this project. He was the one who did my Zenith Rise album cover as well. So we were
okay.
talking about the concept for this album, which was, I already had the title, The Quiet Place Away. So I knew that I wanted to call the album that. I knew I wanted to capture that sort of vibe of like a quiet place away, something that's more organic and natural and has that sort of vibe to it, I suppose. So when we discussed it, he gave me 2 options, one of them being to build the miniature model. So I thought that would be a really cool direction to go. And he went and worked on all that, creating this house, and would show me updates as we went. And yeah, the end results just blew my mind completely. Like it's just stunning. And I've actually got the model house at home, so I'm really
Oh,
lucky
nice.
to actually have it, which is really cool. But yeah, I'm so stoked on how it turned out. The cover, just amazing. I managed to use the model in the "Let Yourself Dream" video clip, and we did a bit of a perspective thing, having the house up close to the camera, but me further out in the background to make it sort of look like I'm standing in front of the house. And I think that works.
Wow.
I think that works quite well. I've had a lot of people
Yeah,
ask me, "Where is the house? I want to go there." And I'm going to say,
exactly.
I got some bad news. The house is not real.
It's in my house.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow, but that's so cool. I mean, like, and I think that's just going back to the whole thing, right? Because like when I'm looking at it, you've not just like focused on the music, right? I mean, I like how you're just like calling yourself a hobbyist, but when you think about it, like just all of this together is a proper full-time job.
Totally.
Like it's not just the music. You're talking about the music videos. You're talking about the artwork, and each thing has kind of like a certain amount of effort in there, which kind of brings me back to what I asked you in the start. I mean, like I know like when we talked last time, you were talking about doing music full time. How is like your perspective changed on that, or is it kind of like even stronger in the last year since we spoke?
Well, I feel like now I'm just deeply in the hole, so it's a case of sink or swim, I guess. So definitely, I'm just trying to make every effort to do everything to the best of my ability to get people excited about what I'm doing and release the best music I can. And that's really all I can control, is that I am outputting my best work and providing something fresh and interesting and new and exciting and all that sort of stuff, and something that I'm excited about that keeps me inspired to create. So yeah, at this point, it's just, this is my life now. So I get to focus in on my passion, and yeah, I'm definitely I'm very lucky to be here, and I know that I'm in a very unique situation. So I'm not taking it for granted. I'm definitely working as hard as I can to do what I need to be doing and to just keep it going, and yeah.
Yeah, so one of the cool things, and I was quite jealous when I was following your updates, is because Australia allowed live gigs to happen way before here in India,
Oh yeah.
and you guys actually, I think you did a 3-city tour of
Yes,
sorts?
yes, yeah. We did a festival tour. Yeah.
Tell me about that. What was that like? Like actually, after a while, just getting it out there and getting to play live, man.
Yeah, like yeah, definitely a great feeling to be back on a stage, and just exciting to get to be out there again playing, and having those experiences again, which I really love. You know, it's such a great contrast from the studio stuff and being at home working on editing or whatever it is, those sort of tasks. And then you know, playing, you get to be with your mates and you're on stage and you're meeting people and things are loud and it's exciting, and so yeah, that was really a long time coming, and it felt amazing, and we had a great time. The vibe at the festival was really good too. Like everyone was really stoked to be a part of it, and yeah, it's just a really really cool run of shows. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, right? Like, unlike the US, where we're ahead of them, right? So it's like during the day I'll be reading all the gig updates at night, but Australia is just a few hours ahead of us. So I'm actually in kind of real time during the day reading all these updates, and I'm like, damn, these guys are having fun. And you see like everyone posting photos and
Yeah.
Instagram stories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you know where I'm gonna go next, which is the gig you've got planned as an album launch. I mean,
Yeah.
don't spill too many beans, but I'm just like this is you taking, not doing a gig, but just saying, you know what, I'm gonna like up it to the next level by doing one set acoustic and one set like my progressive electric stuff.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Well, I like to keep everyone happy, so I thought it'd be cool to do 2 sets and really showcase what I'm doing these days. I feel like I like to do acoustic music. I like to do heavy stuff, so why not? If I can bring that together, then why not? And I think it'll be something a bit unique for people to that go to the show to see that going on. There's just, I think that it's a bit more exciting, I think, than just sticking to one style and stuff. I hope that people really enjoy having both aspects presented to them in the one gig. That's a lot of music. It's going to be like 21 songs in one night. So at the moment, I'm working overdrive, preparing and relearning some songs that I haven't played in a while and all that. So yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure if I was you, I'd be like hitting the gym just so I can like do cardio to stay in shape to kind of play that long. But I know it might be a little too early to ask this, but considering Australia, would you guys be going in your winter already?
Yeah, we're in winter. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So considering like Australia is going into their winter, you planning on taking the acoustic set to other cities? Is there any plans, anything that you've thought of so far?
I definitely want to. It's just a case of like, the economics of it, because, to put on a show like this in different cities with, a 3-piece strings and piano and all this stuff, it's challenge to make that viable, So basically, we're sort of doing this gig as a bit of a test run and see how we go with it. And but I would love to, but the economics of it is a factor. So I've got to watch that.
No, so my bad, because I was like, okay, wait, acoustic means you can just go across and play multiple shows or multiple places. But if you're going to do the full experience, oh
Yeah.
my god, yeah.
Well, I mean, that stuff is not out of the question either for future. But what I would ideally want to do is present it how I am at this gig that I'm doing this album launch in Melbourne. So it's 3-piece strings, piano, keyboard, and percussion, 2 acoustic guitars, and so there's a few people involved, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay, so wait, hang on. How big is the stage to fit all of you guys?
It's going to be tight, definitely.
I'm looking forward to the pictures from this gig, because like, just the way you described it, I'm like, wait, how is everyone? I mean, sound check may not be that much of a problem, but just like getting everyone their space.
It's going to be tight. It's going to be interesting. We'll both discover this together.
Awesome. But you know what, man, it's been great talking to you, and I'm really looking forward to, because like one thing I've noticed is that because you're doing this full time, right? You're constantly kind of trying new stuff, different stuff. So the acoustic album was a surprise to me, at least, when I kind of saw it, because I didn't see that coming. So I'm definitely looking forward to what surprise you have up your sleeve next.
Awesome, man. Thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed what you've heard so far, and can't wait to write the next album.
And that was Rohan Stevenson. I Built the Sky. Such a great chat, and I felt a bit sick, so that's why this video is coming out a week after the actual release show. But it was great to see pictures from the show where Rohan did both the acoustic as well as the electric set, just the entire setup. So if anyone's in Australia and watching this video, I'd highly recommend keeping your eye out on I Built the Sky social media, so that when Rohan's doing a gig like that next. So definitely don't miss it. And that's all from this episode. Like I said at the start, hit subscribe and stay tuned for more videos like this and more chats with musicians. Maybe I'll even do a solo episode once in a while. But until next time, cheers.